Yeah, apparently I discovered it was US only, apparently, which is wild. I figured it'd be anywhere KFC's available, but I guess if you're in the US, you go buy a chicken sandwich every day and they give you a meme skin for Diablo 4. Actually, you can get 2 for free just creating an account and linking it to your Battle.net. But anyway. Play Diablo 4, Bear? You sure am. We're going to be streaming it on launch. Dan and I are going to stream it Thursday evening. Assuming you can even play it on launch, but, you know. Alright, here we go. Book of Lorath, Episode 1, Creation. There's 3 books. I think there's 3 books anyway.
The young scholar.
Alright, hold on. It's too
Life
loud.
has taught me well that evil is inevitable and can never be truly destroyed.
There we go. Alright. Oh.
It can be banished. It can be thwarted.
Okay, let's start it over.
You've traveled a long way to be disappointed, young scholar.
Is this a
Life
comment
has
about
taught
the
me
quality
well
of the
that
game?
Evil is inevitable.
Oh no, they're setting expectations.
Destroyed. It can be banished. It can be thwarted. It can be driven back. But only for a time. Men are weak. Evil is seductive. And those who would do nothing in the face of malevolence are cowards.
True.
You seek a weapon against the darkness rising in Sanctuary. The only thing I can arm you
Yeah, I
with
get
is
them
knowledge.
KFC.
So when evil finds a foothold and flourishes once again, at least I can say it was not due to ignorance. For untold eons, an eternal conflict has raged between the demonic hordes of the burning hells and the angelic host of the high heavens. Scholars have spilled gallons of ink and spent their eyesight in scriptoriums, writing and debating how these two factions began.
It's a lot of ink to get the page that black.
Before them, before us. It is said the first being, Anu, was the sum of all things, good and evil, light and dark, physical and mystical, joy and sadness, the one. Anu wished to be free from the malignance of evil, and so separated and expelled the darkness within. But what is cast off does not simply disappear.
Okay. So this is the lore from Diablo 3. They basically assume nobody had the good sense to play through all of Diablo 3. So they're basically rehashing the lore they established there about the creation and everything. Because the big crystal up in heaven that the prime Diablo's trying to corrupt is the last vestige of the good side of Arnu. So if hell can corrupt that, hell wins, basically, is the gist of it. Anyway, so yeah, they're rehashing lore you could find in Diablo 3 right now. Because D2 was created by RNG, true. Just finished watching your Zero Death No Light on YouTube. Reserve a Prime Sum, falling for the mind-numbing victory. True. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Welcome on in. Okay, alright, what do we got here? This is interesting.
That darkness found its shape in the seven-headed dragon, Tathamet.
Tathamet.
The prime evil.
Okay.
Who fought ceaselessly with Anu to their mutual destruction. It is said...
Anu's just a bunch of candles, by the way. That's, that's it. Oh, no. A small lady with a sharp stick, too. A small lady with a sharp stick and a bunch of candles. That's Anu, apparently.
When the remains of these two titans settled, the universe as we know it came into existence. All the realms of the high heavens, the burning hells.
Can I get this as a poster? This is kind of cool. I actually like this a lot. Tyrael stands out like a sore thumb. And I can never remember the names of the other angels. Feels weird, man. Oh, there's Malthael. There's Wisdom, or not Wisdom, Fate. Your Hope. I can't remember. Adriel? Was she the Angel of Hope? Yes, there's Big Daddy, I'm gonna spear your ass off. Wait, is that Big Daddy? I'm gonna spear your ass off, or is that somebody else? That's somebody else. That's his helmet. The Angel of Valor. I can't remember his name. He was annoying. I killed him. Printed out. Well, yeah, but it's gonna be low quality. Actually, speaking of which, what is the quality of this video right now? That's a bit excessive. We'll go 1440. Oh, damn, it's even better now. Alright, what else do we have here? That might be... Who is that, then? That could be... That one's linked on the same branch as... Is that, Izuel? Is that Izuel? That could be Izuel, because it's linked to... our boy Tyrael. Honestly, playing through Diablo 2 Resurrected has only reminded me of how pog the original voice actor for Tyrael was. I mean, the replacement guy for D3 was alright, don't get me wrong, he was fine, but Tyrael's original voice actor was just... Oh, man. What do we got over here? We got Bale. I'd recognize that shit-eating grin anywhere. Notice how there's nothing on his tree? Yeah, destruction. It's tough. There's Diablo, our thick boy there. Very horny. We've got Mephisto. That looks like Lilith, and that, I have no idea who the hell that is. Wait. Was Mephisto the only demon to bang? Damn, that's tough. Oh, fair enough. What do we got over here? We've got... That looks like Andariel. I'd recognize those scythes anywhere. That's Duriel. Who the ever-loving hell are you? Oh, God. Is that Balat? Asmodan? Because that's Asmodan. I'd recognize that double art anywhere. So that's got to be Belial. Disgusting. I hate you. I hate you, too. Honestly, I just didn't like Diablo 3. Maybe they'll do better with them going forward, and I'll start to like... I think Asmodan has potential. He was like a cartoon villain was his main problem. Oh, Jesus. Alright, carry on.
Pandemonium.
Mephisto runs, your favorite.
Gave birth to the burning hells, and each of the 7 heads transformed into the 7 great evils, each with dominion over their own realm. The 3 most dominant of these inherited the title of Prime Evil, feeding off one another to maintain dominion and rule over the legions of the burning hells.
Bale is Ivan Ooze.
Lord of hatred, intelligence and cunning, father of Lucian and Lilith.
Lucian. I'm trying to... Was Lucian in the lore? Like, established? I don't recognize the name, and I don't recognize the demon either. Was he in the books, maybe? To be fair, they just made up Lilith, too, kind of. I mean, they made her up in Diablo 3, but... So, it's entirely possible Lucian isn't established yet, and we're gonna find out about Lucian in Diablo. I wonder if Lucian is the wolf helping us. Helping. The mystery wolf. He doesn't like his big sis, and he's like, fuck her, I'm always in her shadow, I'm gonna help this dude take her ass down a peg. Interesting. Chad, I have a new fan theory. Lucian's the wolf. No Colenso the Annihilator. Or Puss River the Drinker. Yeah. Only ever beat D1. I've played them all. I played decades of Diablo 2, in fact. Diablo 3, I mean, I still played a fair amount of Diablo 3. I beat it with a couple of characters. I did a little bit of endgame a couple of times. I played a few seasons. That's how I know I don't like it. You do wonder how we were thrown into a battle between hell and heaven as fucking nobody. Well, they actually they don't establish that in the first game or the second game. You don't really learn about that until the third game, unfortunately. Actually, that's not entirely true. There is lore, item lore, and then there's book lore about it and shit. So no, I guess after Diablo 2, you kind of learn. The game Diablo 2 doesn't teach you anything about it, but all the secondary media around it kind of starts to establish and flesh that all out. To be fair. Yeah, because you start learning about Tragul and everything. Yeah, okay. Anyway.
Sanctuary.
Fan theory. Lucian's the Wolf.
Veil,
Mark my words.
Lord of Destruction. Corrupter of the World Stone. And Diablo, Lord of Terror. As Deckard Cain once wrote, for as long as man fears the dark, Diablo will remain the most insidious and, I would argue, the most powerful of all the evils.
That's a good set of lines. I like that. It's good. It's cool.
No less dangerous to the people of Sanctuary, and not to be discounted on the basis
well,
of their title.
2 out of 4 anyway.
Underestimating their capabilities and intentions is a sure path to our destruction. Belial, Lord of Lies, uses poisonous untruths.
Also the most obvious liar in
darker,
history.
Fractious world. Juriel, Lord of Pain, revels.
The real most powerful demon in hell, who remembers like corpse running 100 times to beat him the first time you run into him. Just perma-frozen, cold, alone, afraid in the dark. Just, you got like 16 of your own bodies strewn around him because this motherfucker just two-taps you and you can't run away. You're just slowly whittling him down every life. The true prime evil. Duriel. I hear he's coming back. Or is back in Diablo 4. That's kind of cool. Or terrifying. I'm not sure which yet.
In the cacophonous screams of
Yellow,
those in
too.
physical agony. Even demons are no stranger to his torment. Andariel, the Maiden of Anguish, is the counterpart of Juriel. Whereas he delights in bodily torment, Andariel derives pleasure from anguish of the mind and soul. Azmodan, the Lord of Sin, a clever manipulator and master of temptation, loves vice in all its forms, but revels most in the failures of others.
Also, only the second worst character written in Diablo. After Belial. To be fair, the concepts of the two demons are cool. The writers just didn't know how to portray those concepts in a way that didn't feel like I was watching cartoons on a Saturday. Like a child. Very
Demonic
very weak
hordes
writing
spawn from the
for those two
vile
demons in
cavities of the
D3.
burning hells. A host of ravenous, furious monstrosities that reflected the poisonous elements. Of
Couldn't
the
even reach a
projector.
corpse after Duriel death?
There are
Yeah.
demons beyond counting in the burning hells.
Nothing like relaunching the game so your
At the
corpse is
center
at
of the
the
high
at
heavens
town,
lies the
so you can go
crystal
back
heart.
and try again.
Said to be formed of Anu's spine. When it vibrates in perfect harmony, an angel is created, embodying an aspect of what Anu had once been. The purest of these become archangels, and 5 rose above the rest to lead the host of the high heavens. Imperius,
Imperius was his name,
Archangel
right? He had a
Valor.
stupid name.
a brilliant
That's why I
tactician
can't remember
who
it.
commanded the warriors of heaven and led them into battle with hell, but whose pride has led to much destruction. Tyrael, former Archangel of Justice, who abandoned his rigid dedication to justice and took up the aspect of wisdom instead. He supported the many causes of humanity, renounced his angelic
So
nature,
we've confirmed Diablo
and felt
3
that
lore
Earth
is
was
canon.
immortal.
It's tough.
Sanctuary would have fallen to darkness long ago without his aid.
Is this his replacement, the new aspect of justice? Then?
Inarius,
Oh.
creator of Sanctuary.
Oh,
served
Inarius. Oh, that
and
makes
was an
sense.
advisor to the council
Okay.
until he rebelled.
Wait, was he?
Or-
He was an advisor to the council, but the council just kind of let him languish in hell, being tortured and tormented for centuries or millennia, however long it was. That's tough. That sounds like Imperius. He's kind of a dick. That sounds like something he'd do, honestly. Ariel, that was her name, not Adriel. I was close. I was only one letter off. Ariel, yeah, the Archangel of Hope.
The Archangel of Hope, who embodies the shining light of a bright future, and sees the potential for good in all things, but who is no less a warrior than the others,
True.
dispatching those who spread despair and darkness.
Mm-hmm.
She is said to lead the chorus of the high heavens in harmony. Ethereal, the archangel of fate, who comprehends the tangled web of fate and time.
So, if I remember, when it came down to the vote to whether or not to spare humanity or destroy them, the ones who decided to spare were Ethereal and Ariel. Were just straight up, they were bros. They had us. They had our back. And then Imperius and Malthael both wanted to destroy humanity. And Tyrael was the fence sitter. Until, this is related to Tragul and everything, and the first Necromancer, the lore. But anyway, Tyrael witnessed an act of valor from the humans against the spawns of hell, and technically heaven too. And it's like, no, they're cool, so he kind of switched, he last minute vote decided, no, we'll spare him. So Tyrael was the swing vote there, as far as I remember.
Though the future of humanity remains obscure to him, unseeable, because
Probably
we
a
are
mistake,
not of the natural order of creation. Malthael, the former archangel of wisdom, who fell to darkness and brought ruin to sanctuary when he abandoned the aspect of wisdom and took up the aspect of death. I encountered him once, long ago, and barely escaped with my life.
So,
Few who met him after his transformation survived. After all, no one can stop death.
except for the player characters who stop death. So, as far as I understand, Lorath is one of the Haradrim that was with Tyrael trying to secure the Black Soul Stone with all the primevals in it. You might remember the pretty cool cutscene, or not cutscene, cinematic they released for Reaper of Souls. As far as I'm aware, Lorath is the Haradrim that Tyrael tells to run while the others all die. So that's where he's kind of established in all the lore. He's the one who got away.
These 5 archangels formed the Angiras Council and ruled heaven in harmony until Malthael abandoned heaven. The council fell to confusion and dissension.
So the only one here I don't know is Lucian.
Diminished. Alongside heaven and hell, there is a third realm, and this is where our next story begins and ends. Where Anu and Tathamed slew one another, the violence scarred the cosmos and birthed the plane of pandemonium. It was here the World Stone, also called the Eye of Anu, came to rest. A mountain-sized artifact of infinite power that embodied the endless cycles of birth and death, destruction and creation. Desire to control its infinite power fueled the eternal conflict, until Inarius and Lilith stole it, and used it to create sanctuary. The hour grows late, the fire is dying, and the cold is unrelenting. Come back if you're still alive, and I'll tell you the tale of our creation. Of our creators, Lilith and Inarius, mother and father of sanctuary, and the long, bloody history of the eternal conflict. For now, we should rest, and I pray your dreams are not as dark as mine.
I had a dream about Baby Shark the other night. It's pretty dark, bro. I hope yours aren't as dark as mine. Make you want to play Diablo? The lore videos are good. That was good so far. Let's check out the next one. Episode 2. Here we
You've
go.
returned.
Wait, no I haven't. Hold on.
You've returned.
No I haven't. Hold on. Okay, so... Jad said it's a mistake. It's never a mistake. Unless it's Diablo 3, then it's a mistake. Or Diablo Immortal, for that matter. I wonder if there's any new important lore. Maybe Lucian's from Diablo Immortal. Disgusting. Nah, my fan theory still feels right. Lucian hates his sister, and he's the wolf. Alright, here we go.
You've returned, and with ale this time. A wise choice for
What
this
ale?
dark
Where?
story. The shadows will seem longer when it's done. Before we talk to Vanu and Tethamet, the high heavens and the burning hells,
Don't
and all
have
who
a
reside
phone.
there, embroiled.
I have one. I just wouldn't install that drivel on it.
Now let
That
us
would be an
speak
insult
of
to
the
my phone.
creation of Sanctuary and our creators, Inarius and Lilith, angel and demon, our father and mother. The eternal conflict raged on, endless and all-consuming. Led by the Angiras Council, the angelic forces fought countless battles against the armies of the seven demon lords.
What is that?
and sought
Tyrael
to
and...
conquer
Is that
all
Lucian?
creation.
That's Lucian again.
Though the high heavens often defeated their adversaries, they also failed to destroy them, allowing evil to return again and again.
No, maybe not. Maybe these are
again.
just generic demons.
Ceaseless, unrelenting. Both sides claimed victories. Both suffered crippling defeats. The conflict was a never-ending slaughter. Many of these battles were fought in Pandemonium, the plane said to be formed from the violent death of Anu and Tathamet, where the heart of creation lay, the mountain-sized artifact that would come to be known as the World Stone, housed within the Pandemonium fortress. Any who control the World Stone would have the power to create new worlds, or unmake them with a thought. A desirable and dangerous prize indeed. It became the focus of the eternal conflict. Over the eons, the Pandemonium fortress changed hands many times.
And nobody did anything with the stone? That's what I never got. Like, because at the point of Diablo 2, it's currently Heaven in control of Pandemonium Fortress, but admittedly that's after the stone's already gone, so I guess that doesn't matter. So it keeps changing. Nobody did anything with it. Like, presumably if you had it, you could destroy Hell or Heaven. Nobody did? What was... Maybe they'll cover that in this lore video. It always seemed weird. Yeah, delete Heaven, or delete Hell, or delete Pandemonium, or something. Anything. Like, nobody did anything with it, even though they controlled it. That's so weird.
It became a strange place, embodying the warped reality of Pandemonium as a whole. A structural and liminal place, affected by the high heavens and burning hells alike. Angels and demons, too numerous to count, have fallen at its gates, over and over and over again. This endless cycle caused Inarius, advisor to the Angiras Council and under Tyrael's command, to eventually conclude that the war could never be won, and he resolved to abandon it. Elsewhere,
He was also
Lilith,
tortured.
daughter of
That's how he
hatred,
met
was
Lilith.
arriving at a similar conclusion. On her father Mephisto's role in the eternal conflict,
So they're
Lilith once
not going
wrote,
to talk about that.
"My father is content to fight the same battles and the same foes while everything turns to ashes.
I guess it's not PG
The war
enough for
will never be
YouTube.
won so long as he and his brothers lead. There is an end to it, but fools like my father are too blind to see it." Inarius and Lilith, angel and demon. Separated by a vastness in distance and experience that is difficult to comprehend, they came to the same conclusion. They must escape the eternal conflict. I wonder if the cosmos had ever contemplated such an unholy alliance and divine union. I wonder if creation shuddered in horror and awe, as Inarius and Lilith gathered others to their cause, fellow renegades, seeking escape from the ceaseless fighting. The details of their meeting, like so much of our history, is obscured by the relentless passage of time and myth.
Because it's not PG enough for YouTube. We know how they met. I believe the lore is even in Diablo 3. You pick up a little lore book when you're going to fight Malthael, near where the World Stone was, or whatever. Or no. It's in Pandemonium. I actually don't remember what the importance of the location was. Either way, Inarius was captured by Hell and set to be tortured and tormented for all of eternity. He was there for, I don't remember if it was centuries or millennia, but he was there for a long time being tortured and tormented. That's how Lilith met him. And then they devised their plot. I don't remember if she helped him escape or if he escaped on his own or if he was just released in like a prisoner exchange or whatever. I don't remember that part very well. But eventually he got away, and then together with their plan, they stole the World Stone and got freaky with each other and had babies. They banged. Yeah, pretty much. This is the also PG representation of banging right here. That's it.
But the great Heraldric scholar Deckard Cain tells us of Inarius, wounded or marooned in the Pandemonium Fortress, meeting with Lilith. Lilith was not spared the hatred of her father Mephisto, and from time immemorial had awaited an opportunity to rebel. For the first time, combatants in the eternal conflict not only set aside their differences, but also formed a union. It's difficult to imagine, but legends tell us that Inarius and Lilith forged an alliance that would alter the course of the war, reality itself, and all of existence. Inarius and Lilith pledged themselves to their joint cause of escaping the eternal conflict. United in purpose, both resourceful and wise in their way, they managed to gain control of the World Stone and hide it from the watchful eyes of the heavens and the hells. Working together, they shifted the World Stone into a pocket dimension, hiding it from the opposing powers of the eternal conflict. There, they used its extraordinary power.
I'm surprised the other powers even realized it was gone, considering they apparently never used the damn thing.
Free from war, free from unending strife. A sanctuary. The renegade angels and demons came together to create new life, and the nature of the eternal conflict changed. The joining of the opposing natures within these firstborn made beings unlike any before. Beautiful abominations called Nephilim, from which humanity would one day descend as inheritors of both lineages.
Which one of these ones do you think thought this fella was cute? I mean, he's kind of cute in a derpy sort of way. Well, Jesus Christ. What do you think got freaky with this one? He looks like a biter, honestly. Jesus Christ. You got this one over here voguing. You know he's into it. He's trying to draw somebody. This guy, too. Honestly, these two probably hooked up. Look at that. Look at him voguing. Look at him voguing. They were definitely in a... Hey, these two got basically the same pose, too. They probably hooked up. Wow. Yeah. Cool. What's up, Grunt? This doesn't look like Darkest Dungeon lore. No, this is... Well, kind of. Maybe.
The birthrights of the firstborn graced them with the potential to resist the evil of the burning hells and to defy the dominion of the high heavens. Because of this, many of the angels and demons who rebelled with Lilith and Inarius feared what these children might become. The burden of children can strain even the strongest of allies, and it seems that angels and demons are not immune to this simple truth. Surely Inarius and Lilith could not have foreseen the cosmic consequences of their actions. Inarius was alarmed when he realized that his children might surpass both angels and demons in potential. The other angels and demons fought fiercely over what should be done, whether to spare the Nephilim or exterminate them. The dissent between the two groups alarmed Inarius, who called for a period of reflection.
Lorath.
Lilith, driven into a mad frenzy by the threat of her children's extinction, ruthlessly murdered each and every renegade angel and demon, leaving only Inarius to discover the carnage she had wrought. Horrified by the loss of his comrades at Lilith's hand, Inarius became enraged. But still he could not kill Lilith. Instead, he banished her from the sanctuary they had created together. Inarius then attuned the World Stone to diminish the powers of the Nephilim over time, and disappeared in the aftermath. As their strength faded generation by generation...
Well, I guess that pretty much explains who's more powerful, Inarius or Lilith. Damn, he just, like, yeeted her out of the dimension. Like, no. Bad Lilith. Go away. It's tough.
They came to resemble mortals. No longer angelic or demonic, simply human.
He's on something. Look at him. Look at him. He's definitely on something. I don't know what it's. He's on ecstasy, isn't he? I recognize that stare anywhere. The pouty puckering of the lips, like.
As their power diminished, so too did their collective memory, until only legends of what came before remained. It is said that the firstborn remained immortal and undying as humankind took shape, giving rise to the cultures, kingdoms, and tribes of Sanctuary, before themselves fading into myth. Now you know, the birth of our world and our inheritance, demonic and divine, the eternal conflict that rages ceaselessly in each of us. Think on that, young scholar, until we meet again. None of us is above sin or immune to evil's seduction. Even the most righteous may fall.
Okay,
but right push in
but
the
next time
direction.
you bring the ales, I guess. All right, last book. Last book for now. Apparently, I feel like there's... Oh, there's more. Oh, God, they just released one an hour ago. Shit, we're fresh off the press chat. All right. Let's take care of this one for now, though.
Another night, and you brought more ale.
God, you were supposed to bring it this time. Stronger
Essential
stuff.
for keeping warm here in the fractured peaks. Pour me a cup. Tonight is a long, sad tale of bravery and betrayal, and the great blight of destruction that changed the very fabric of our world.
Now we're getting to the meat and potatoes.
When last we spoke of Inarius and Lilith, and humankind's creation. How humanity found itself caught by the eternal conflict. A battle that does not belong to humankind, but one we must fight nonetheless. Two rival groups, the Temple of the Triune and the Cathedral of Light, sprang up on the world of Sanctuary and strove to win over the hearts of mankind. The Triune was secretly backed by the three prime evils, Mephisto, Baal, and Diablo, who had discovered Sanctuary's existence. Inarius secretly founded the Cathedral of Light in response, an attempt to counter their malevolent influence. Unbeknownst to either the prime evils or Inarius, Lilith returned to Sanctuary to reawaken her children's dormant powers, knowing they had the ability to banish the agents of the Burning Hells and Inarius for good. Soon after, Sanctuary was engulfed in what would become known as the Sin War, a catastrophic proxy war over the souls of humankind. Humanity won the war, but they faced another kind of battle. The high heavens too became aware of Sanctuary and her blasphemous children, and now deliberated on humanity's ultimate fate. With the Angiras Council split, the Archangel Tyrael cast the final vote to spare us from extermination. Instead, the memory of all that came before was taken from humankind, including knowledge of their inherited power.
I feel like it was a small... like, it would have only taken them a couple of extra seconds to, like, mention where the vote was split. Because players should know who they should and should not like in the Angiras Council, you know, especially if they're going to become a thing. Like, everyone should know Imperius is a raging dick. Like, a massive raging dick. That they should want to kill. Again and again, like farming him. He doesn't even drop anything, but you still go and you farm him. Every time you go and kill Diablo in the Spire, you stop by and kill Imperius first. Just because he's a dick. And Malthael's also kind of a dick, so you kill him too. But you do that after you kill Diablo. Then you go over to the, you know... And people should know they should like, you know, Ariel and They just said his name like 2 videos ago, and I still can't remember it. Ethereal or whatever his name is. Anyway, it would have only taken him a couple of extra seconds in the video to parse it. At the very least, they could have like just drawn the other 2 angels in and the other 2 and, you know, shift their color slightly to indicate they voted no, they voted, you know. That would have been a great touch for the video.
In exchange for their part in leaving Sanctuary alone,
Exterminatus, pretty much.
the Burning Hells took Inarius into their custody, and it is said that he has suffered unending torment at their hands ever since. Of course, it is not the nature of the Burning Hells to leave well enough alone, and before long, more attempts to corrupt humankind were underway. The lesser evils, led by Asmodan and Belial, staged an uprising that upset the established order of the Burning Hells. Convinced the prime evils had abandoned the eternal conflict in favor of corrupting humanity, the usurpers set out to banish the 3 prime evils to Sanctuary. They lost fully 1/3 of their army, but they succeeded in banishing Mephisto, Baal, and Diablo into the mortal realm in what would come to be known as the Dark Exile. They spent decades spreading terror, hatred, and destruction across the land. It is here that the story of the Haradrim begins, when Tyrael assembled a group of powerful mages and tasked them with humanity's defense, standing fast against the tyranny of the prime evils and guarding against the wrathful eyes of the heavens falling upon humankind once again. Tyrael carved 3 soul stones from pieces of the World Stone, crystalline prisons designed to contain the malignant essence of a prime evil.
Funny how the colors changed on 2 of them, despite all being carved from the same red stone. That's funky. That's weird. But I guess you gotta color code everything, you know? That way people know what the hell's going on. Also, it occurs to me, I might have had my lore a bit backwards, I guess. I could have swore Lilith and Inarius hatched their plan while Inarius had been captured. But maybe I have it backwards. Maybe they were right about the injury thing, and Inarius' torture came later. I had it in my head that it was the other way around, but I might have been wrong. I guess I was probably wrong. I mean, they have the lore. Presumably, they know what it is. Then again, we're talking about Blizzard in after the year 2020, so who the fuck knows what's going on with Blizzard? Maybe they don't know anything anymore. Maybe I am right and they're wrong. I wouldn't put it past them now, but I probably got that a little mixed up, I guess. But I actually... So they met, Inarius was wounded, Lilith essentially found him wounded, kind of nursed him back to health maybe a little bit. That's how they took... I mean, I guess that makes sense too. Either way, whichever way it ends up, it still works out. Magic... Oh, magic stone. So you know which one to summon. True. The red one. Always the red one. Who would be blue and yellow? I guess Mephisto would probably be blue. He was very cold-oriented. He liked cold spells. And, Baal did use lightning, although it was kind of red lightning, so I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway.
Sapphire for Mephisto.
Yeah.
Amber for Baal.
Yeah.
And Crimson for Diablo.
Crimson? Why not Ruby? Like, we went with, like, the gem names for the other 2, and they're just like, Crimson. There's no gem with a red name. Could have been Garnet, could have been Ruby, could have been, there's another red one, what's it called? It could have even been Bloodstone. There is another red gem, what is it? Like a prominent one. Not prominent enough for me to remember, it doesn't matter.
The Haradrim
Joe, this is Blizzard. True.
The vastness of Sanctuary for the Lords of Hell, with the aim to contain them. The Haradrim found Mephisto, and after much struggle, imprisoned him. The Sapphire Soulstone was given to the Zakarum for safekeeping. They also battled Baal, but in the process, the Soulstone intended for him was shattered. The Order's leader, Tal Rasha, trapped Baal's essence in the largest shard of the Amber Soulstone, but feared that was insufficient. The Haradrim concluded they could fuse the shard to a human body in an effort to better contain Baal's power. Tal-Rasha selflessly volunteered his own body to contain the Lord of Destruction's raging essence. Tyrael himself took up the solemn duty of driving the shard into Tal-Rasha's heart. The grieving Haradrim sealed away their noble leader within a subterranean tomb, believing they were leaving him to suffer torment beyond imagination as he struggled to hold fast the monstrous Lord of Destruction for all of time.
No, the endless suffering was the players who had to then go fight Duriel only to realize, oops, too late, we already fucking failed. After being slaughtered by Duriel about 1,000 times. Not, it didn't sink in at that point that they were failures, despite all of their corpses lying around. It did take a minute, like, you had to walk through the hallway, and then you had to squish a couple of the bugs that run under your feet and stuff, and they make that nice squishing noise. It's very satisfying. The best part of beating Duriel, honestly, is trying to hit as many of those on the way to... And then you see Tyrael there like, you guys are a little late. Welcome to the party. No, he's gone. You should have been here like an hour ago when he left. It's tough. No, he went this way, though. Maybe you should go follow him, see if you can figure something out. It was the players who suffered for eternity, not Bale.
In the wake of this
Sup,
tragedy,
Raider? Sup, Chill?
Jared Kane took leadership of the bruised and battered mages. Together, the Haradrim spent nearly 10 years following Diablo's path of terror through Sanctuary, until finally coming to blows and containing him within the Crimson Soulstone. Diablo's Soulstone was carefully hidden deep in a labyrinthian cave system by the Haradrim. To guard the great evil hidden in its depths, a Haradric monastery was built atop the caves. The hope, I believe, was that it would never be disturbed, and that Diablo would be forgotten in the great below, his influence fading with time. But that was not to be.
No, they hid the Lord of
prison
Terror
can
in
last
a
forever.
dark room
So
where
long
he
as the key
thrives.
exists, its door can be opened. The land near that small monastery would eventually be settled, and the quiet, prosperous town of Tristram was founded there. None could have known, except perhaps Diablo, the grim fate that would befall the unfortunate souls that called Tristram home. Over time, foreign powers influenced the land, and Tristram became politically significant. At the behest of the Zakarum Church, and guided by Archbishop Lazarus, a Zakarum lord named Leoric crowned himself King of Kandurus and made Tristram his capital. He converted the old Haradric monastery into his seat of power, unaware of the threat that lurked beneath. Leoric was wise and just, ushering in an era of peace and prosperity for Tristram. But with time, his outlook darkened, and he grew irrational, his mind slipping towards madness and paranoia. The king began ordering the execution of any who questioned him.
Interestingly enough, this is not an uncommon thing for a monarch as they get older. It's pretty common for paranoia to start gripping, and you can see it in countless monarchs throughout history. Especially French, English, especially the French and the English. Those I know for sure. I'm a little less well-versed in others, but I would assume it elsewhere as well. Yeah, definitely elsewhere as well, because it happened as well in Sweden, before Carolus Rex took over. His father was degrading into paranoia and madness as well, and was having a lot of people executed. There was a monarch at one point that had, was it their grandmother or somebody's grandmother executed, an old lady. So this is actually kind of rooted in like legitimate history, which is fascinating. Just that descent into paranoia as you get older and hold power for longer and longer. Of course, since many were inbred as well. Yeah, that too. That never helped. All the hours I've duplicated there. Good times, true. All those stones of Jordan that didn't actually exist. Probably Vlad was real sweet. Well, some just started evil too, honestly, Leoric was one of the few legitimate bright spots of Diablo 3 too. Like, Act 1, yeah, it was a little more colorful and cartoony than most people would have liked for the first half of it. But, like, the story of Leoric and Leoric's role in Act 1's story and progression, aside from Leia being a pain in the ass, aside from that. But there's no such thing as demons, Uncle Cain, as she's fending off a demon with a fucking dagger. There's no such thing. They don't exist. There is no prime evils. She's just giving him the shank stick. It's trying to eat her face off. They don't exist. The butcher's just grandma. She put on a couple of pounds and started baking meat instead of cookies. It's like, good God, who wrote this character and why weren't they fired for being awful? Like, I don't generally call for anyone being fired, not even as a joke, but Jesus Christ. Somebody wrote that character and thought it was a good job. Anyone who makes an entire forest out of people being skewered through their ass to their mouth is worthy of being ruler. It's tough. Alright, anyway.
People started calling him the Black King. He declared war on the neighboring kingdom of Westmarch.
He also beheaded his own wife.
To Lazarus's council.
You help her in the story.
War. Leoric's eldest son, Aiden, joined the fight, seeking approval from his father. Shortly after Aiden's departure, Leoric's youngest son, Albrecht, went missing. Leoric tortured and executed many of his own people,
including his own wife,
to find his son. His knights, freshly returned from the war and appalled at the state of their kingdom, were forced to slay the Black King to stop the brutality.
Is it going to mention that Lazarus was actually an agent of Diablo and whispering terror and paranoia into Leoric's ear? That's what ultimately caused Leoric's downfall, was Lazarus using evil demonic powers and influence to essentially shape Leoric into madness. Lazarus was... I don't think he was fully corrupted, like completely in control by Diablo, but he was definitely a cultist serving Diablo. Or one of the prime evils. I think it was Diablo.
Leoric was given a proper burial in the old catacombs. Aiden too returned to find a kingdom in shambles. Rumors of the horrific happenings in Tristram spread, along with the news of the appearance of demonic creatures, and brought adventurers to Tristram. 2 such adventurers joined Prince Aiden when he entered the catacombs to find
Diablo 1's lore.
During this harrowing journey, Aiden was forced to strike down his own father, who had been reanimated as a foul entity called the Skeleton King.
We had to deal with that son of a bitch twice.
Aiden soon found Diablo himself. After a great battle of fire and steel, the Lord of Terror was defeated. But this ending is not a happy one. For Diablo had twisted young Albrecht's body into his own demonic form. In slaying the demon, Aiden had slain his younger brother. Distraught, Aiden pulled the soul stone from Albrecht and plunged it into his own body. In the weeks that followed, Aiden would seek comfort with a local witch named Adria. Slowly succumbing to Diablo's influence, Aiden eventually traveled east from Tristram and became known as the Dark Wanderer, set on liberating Baal and Mephisto. As the Dark Wanderer traveled east, a new group of adventurers arrived in Tristram. They rescued Deckard Cain from the ruins of Tristram, who implored them to give chase. Soon the party found themselves taking part in a dangerous pursuit of the Lord of Terror.
Now we're to Diablo 2.
Path towards the tomb of Tal Rasha, the adventurers would face the lesser evils of Andariel and Juriel, who had rallied to Diablo's aid. Instead of Tal Rasha, they discovered Tyrael imprisoned in the tomb. Baal, still using Tal Rasha as a vessel, had escaped imprisonment to join Diablo in his guise as the Dark Wanderer. Together they had overcome Tyrael and trapped him in the prison he'd made for Baal so long ago.
So Aiden a mere mortal was able to defeat Diablo with 2 companions. Tyrael gets tricked by Diablo and Baal. So, 3 human adventurers confirmed more powerful than one of the stronger archangels. That's tough. That's tough, man. Ah, jeez. Oh, God. Aiden was kind of a bitch, too. Like, playing the warrior, like, it was, the death runs were fantastic. I loved hearing him scream every time he got randomly insta-gibbed by something. The wizard didn't fare much better a lot of the time, or the mage, or whatever they were called, I don't remember. The rogue was where it was at, as far as I remember. Anyway, that's tough.
Heroes pressed on to find
I was heaven not annihilated yet.
Deep in the jungles of Kurast.
Imperius's dick is so massive, like people are just—it's like a perma-taunt. Everyone just keeps wanting to fucking kill, and not Inarius, Imperius. Like he's like the perfect tank. Everyone hates him. So like, why annihilate heaven when you can just go stab fucking Imperius again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and just keep stabbing him? Because God, it's cathartic. That, and technically in Diablo 3, Hell did win. They had taken over heaven, and Diablo was in the process of corrupting the, can never remember what it's called, the resonating crystal, the spine of, they just mentioned it like 2 videos ago. Anyway, he was going to corrupt that, and that was going to basically destroy heaven. But we showed up and stopped it. Imperius, the other eye. You know, he didn't even try and stop it. In fact, he was trying to stop us from going in to stop it. He's like the boss you face before the act boss, you know? It's like, really? Dude, get out of our way, you... It's great. Anyway.
Once more, the heroes were too late to stop Diablo, as he shed what little of Aiden remained.
Yeah, honestly, the heroes were incompetent indeed, too. Always late.
Before returning to the burning hells to rally his demonic legions.
It's a trend you're going to see.
Mephisto remained behind, believing he could defeat the brave pursuers. His confidence was misplaced. The Lord of Hatred was defeated and sealed in the Sapphire Soulstone. The heroes followed the Lord of Terror into the burning hells, thinking only of Sanctuary, and not the grim fate that likely awaited them there. At Tyrael's request, the heroes confronted the corrupt...
No, we were thinking about the sweet loot Diablo was going to drop when we killed him. Like, imagine all the uniques you can get in hell. Like, bro. We also had a quest that told us to go there, so... What's up, Judy?
Visual on the plains of despair. In slaying him, the heroes freed...
The Lord of Hatred is pretty sexy, not gonna lie. Why do you think he's the only demon, prime demon, that has children, I guess? He's the only one who was good-looking enough to get some action. I feel like Hell's standards are pretty low, so that's alarming for my boy Diablo. I get the Baal one, yeah. Yeah, but damn, Diablo's thick, too. I can't believe he isn't a prize-winning slab of bacon.
Isuel's spirit, and he informed them that the prime evils knew how to corrupt the Soulstones. With this information, Cain sent the heroes to the Hellforge to destroy the Sapphire Soulstone,
which accomplished nothing.
That this would prevent Mephisto from manifesting in this world ever again.
Nope.
Once there, they had to defeat a demon called Hephaestus.
Because Diablo 3.
A towering monstrosity with wide horns. His powerful arms strengthened by thousands and thousands of strikes with his Hellforge hammer against the anvil. After successfully destroying the Sapphire Soulstone, the heroes traveled deep into the wastes of the burning hells to face the Lord of Terror himself. They fought a fierce, pitched battle against increasingly dire odds deep in Diablo's own realm. But the heroes fought and defeated Diablo. They pulled the shard from Diablo's head, trapping his essence inside, and returned to the Hellforge to destroy it as well. With this momentous achievement, only Baal remained to threaten Sanctuary. Unfortunately for us, even one prime evil can unleash inconceivable devastation. As the heroes struggled with Diablo in Hell, Baal, Lord of Destruction, set his demonic army on a course to Mount Arreat, annihilating all in his path on the way to his prize, the World Stone. Survivor accounts describe the primeval atop his litter, surveying the barbarian city of Sescheron.
The fist. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
An insatiable lust for carnage. His vision for Sanctuary was a wasteland stained with blood. It is both humbling and horrifying to know how close he was to achieving that goal. Thanks to the bravery of the barbarians in the town of Haragath at the base of Mount Arreat, Baal's army was temporarily repelled, buying time enough for reinforcements and the heroes that had slain Diablo and Mephisto to arrive. They fought their way through Baal's army, up the mountain, and finally into the very heart of Sanctuary, the World Stone Keep. Though our heroes ultimately defeated Baal,
where we were too late
could not
again.
stop his poisonous malice from infecting the World Stone. A difficult choice had to be made, and so it was. Cyril chose to destroy the World Stone rather than let it fall to corruption. He hurled his great sword Eldruin at the World Stone, shattering it. Some of its shards fell to earth, imbued with power. The World Stone was nearly as large as the mountain that housed it, and its destruction turned the imposing peak of Mount Arreat into nothing more than a vast crater.
That's still also a very cool cinematic, and one of my favorite cinematics was Tyrael at the World Stone. They did it justice in Resurrected, too. Like, damn, it was good. It's good. It's good. It's great. Still one of my all-time favorite cinematics, and one I remember distinctly even to this day.
Local settlements
Of any
and
game.
tribes scattered to the wind, many forced to seek new homes. And it is in this new world, deeply wounded by the treachery of the primevals, that the next chapter in our history unfolded.
D2 was a great
tale
game.
of Lear, Diablo's assault on heaven, and Malthael's betrayal.
Leia, oh god, we're
Why
going to
so
Diablo
few of us
3.
remember?
No. Please,
Take
no.
care in the darkness.
Please, no.
There's more lurking.
Oh
out there.
god, no. Alright, chat. Let's go to the meme video. It's time. One more. They released this one an hour ago. Oh.
Come in.
Oh god. Alright. Oh, jeez. So bad, but I'm here for it. Honestly, they might be able to do it justice with this video, because the problem with Diablo 3 wasn't necessarily the premise. The premise was fine. It was the details, the minutia, the characters. That was the problem. And some of the thematic elements, like, you know, old Deckard Cain getting slaughtered by a butterfly. Magda is still just an absolutely miserable character to this day. Just the worst thing they've ever done to Diablo. Like, even Leia Diablo, like, you know, Diablo with tits isn't even as bad as Magda. And Diablo with the tit flaps is a meme in and of himself. He lost his thick. Like, they took my thick boy, my Diablo, and then they turned him into a lanky flagpole. It's tough. And he really didn't look great in high heels either. It's tough. That and Leia was a pretty miserably written character as well. She was terrible. Belial was terribly written. Azmodan was terribly written. Now, just the writing in Diablo 3 was atrocious. But the overarching ideas of the game weren't that bad. Run 1,000... Yeah, and the entire endgame was just the crappy rifts. Yeah. The actual mechanical combat of Diablo 3, like the actual gameplay mechanics, were solid. It was a visceral enough, good, easy, fluid to control ARPG. It's just everything around the mechanics kind of blew. Butterflies are a menace. They will fuck you up. True, just ask Deckard Cain. You want the narrator to read you to sleep. I forget. who the voice actor is. We discussed it during the last beta. Anyway, here we go. Diablo 3 time.
Sit down, you've let all the bloody heat out.
Sorry,
This
buddy.
is the coldest night I can recall in these frozen wastes. I'm no chef, but I've managed.
Is that a subtle jab at Diablo 3? Just is Blizzard acknowledging that Diablo 3 was terrible? It was the coldest night. Because the other one started up with, you brought the ale implying like a good time, you know, friends hanging out, which is Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. And then we get to Diablo 3, suddenly the ale's gone and it's the coldest night ever, all the heat's gone. Yeah, that sounds about right. Good foreshadowing. Yep. That works.
The stew from what little food remains. Fortify yourself, for this is the final story I have to tell you, and you will need your strength to endure. This is the tale of the end of days. I told you of the brave heroes that defeated Diablo and Baal, and of the destruction of the World Stone and Mount Ariat by Tyrael, the Archangel of Justice. In the aftermath, his essence dispersed, and though no angel had done so before, Tyrael was able to restore his form in the realm of Pandemonium. After decades away, Tyrael returned to the high heavens. There he tried to convince his fellow members of the Angiras Council that they were meant to protect the innocent, and that the fate of humanity was pivotal to the future of the eternal conflict. However, they remained committed to their laws, leaving Tyrael no choice but to renounce his angelic nature, shedding his wings to embrace mortality before being cast out of the heavens. And so he fell willingly to Sanctuary, a shining star that landed in the ruins at Tristram Cathedral. New Tristram had established itself just outside the ruins of its predecessor, a thriving settlement, home to Deckard Cain and his young ward Leah. She was the daughter of Adria, who had once lived in Tristram, and grew into a wise young woman under Cain's mentorship.
Which also implies she's the child of Diablo.
Across Sanctuary set out.
Which is why Diablo wanted her to corrupt and etc., because she is the child of Diablo possessing Aiden and Adriana, whatever the hell her name was. Yeah.
To investigate the fallen star. Instead, they found a man who had lost his memory. In an effort to help this fallen stranger, Cain sent adventurers to recover the man's sword, broken and scattered in the surrounding lands. The quest would cost Deckard his life at the hands of Magda, the powerful leader of a fanatical coven devoted to Belial. With his last breaths, Cain managed to repair the stranger's sword. In doing so, he repaired Tyrael's memory.
Looks like she came straight out of Malevolence, too. My god, she was terrible. The worst. She was the half-act boss for Act 2 as well. The entire fight was just colorful, prismatic butterflies floating around trying to kill you, and my god, it was so bad. I don't know how this one got greenlit. I don't get it. I'm surprised the House of Mouse didn't sue, honestly. The two worst characters in the game right here, and the biggest tragedy is the fact that this beautiful man here was slain by this piece of shit. God. Unceremoniously, too, in his own house while he was sleeping, taking a nap. He had a Werther in his mouth, Jeopardy was playing on the TV. It was so god-awful. And then Deckard Cain got replaced by Leia, and that was just depressing. Fuck.
As well as the Sword of Justice itself, Eldraine.
Deckard Cain is so cool, I hope nothing happens to him in
many,
D3.
many more. I believe history will judge Deckard Cain amongst the greatest Haradrim.
True.
Representing the best of what the Haradric Order can be. His contributions to the Haradrim and to humanity cannot be overstated. The day he left us was a dark day for us all. In that moment of deep loss and grief, Leah was overcome by a dark power within herself. When the power burst free, it was strong enough to drive Magda away. This was the first sign that her destiny was cruelly marked by forces greater than any knew.
She had Big Daddy Diablo's
After
blood
Kane's
in her.
death, the adventurers Lear and Tyrael tracked Magda to Chaldeum, where, unbeknownst to them, Belial was impersonating the ruler of the region.
Yeah, not very convincingly
Their
either.
pursuits ended in the dry desert.
Turns out the
of
Lord
Kyrgyzstan,
of Lies was
where they
terrible at lying.
confronted Magda and struck her down, avenging Kane's death. The heroes found another ally in Adria, Lear's mother, who wanted to help her daughter contain the growing darkness. She helped them uncover the location of the Black Soul Stone, an extraordinary artifact created by the renegade Haradrim Zoltan Kull, which could trap multiple essences of both angel and demon, then permanently destroy them. Black Soul Stone in hand, they confronted Belial and revealed his great deception.
I will say, Zoltan Kull is one of the better parts of Diablo 3. He was a great character. I liked Zoltan Kull. I mean, it's in his name. He's cool. Honestly, that was one of the only bright spots of Diablo 3. I'm trying to think of any other characters that were particularly good. And I mean, I guess Malthael made a pretty decent bad guy. Malthael was alright. A little dumb at times, but he was alright. He was alright. And Zoltan Kull was a pretty good anti-villain. Let's see. Any other likable characters from Diablo 3? Not really. Not that I can think of off the top of my head, which is not a good sign. Wow.
Beating him, they sealed him inside this Soulstone prison. But, as we have seen time and time again, evil is never idle. Azmodan, the Lord of Sin, had undertaken an audacious invasion of Sanctuary, seeking the Black Soulstone for himself. All the great evils, save he and Diablo, had been trapped in the Soulstone, giving Azmodan an opportunity to become the prime evil. His vast demonic army erupted from Ariat Crater, the scar left behind by the Worldstone's destruction. The party hurried to aid the forces of Bastion's Keep, the only defense against Azmodan's forces. Though the fortress had been battered, the adventurers fought through legions of demons and overcame the Lord of Sin at the heart of the crater, sealing him in the Black Soulstone as well.
I take it back, there's one more. It's another one of the villains. I can't remember her name, but the midway boss on the way to actually, she wasn't too far away. He was only like 2 areas past her, but I cannot remember her name. The Spider Lady. Shh, I eat you now. It's an iconic line from Diablo 3. Shh, I eat you now. Delightful. No, she was a good villain too. Now that I think about it. I liked her. Zoltan Kull is like the only character you can remember besides what little time Deckard Cain had. Now, Zoltan was good. I liked Zoltan a lot.
It seemed as though the tide was turning in humanity's favor.
No, it wasn't. We basically created a party inside of a soul
She had
stone.
lied about the Black Soul Stone, having used it to mark the souls of all 7 great evils for containment, while leaving Diablo unbound. The witch then offered Leah her own daughter as a vessel for Diablo's return.
Diablo's daughter,
An act
too.
she had planned since her child's conception. When Aiden sought solace with her in Tristram, Adria had already pledged herself to the Lord of Terror's service. Under the guise of her care, she used the prince's torment to her advantage, allowing Diablo to deepen his hold on the prince. When he left as the Dark Wanderer, so too did Adria. Soon after, she bore his child, Leah, whom she left in Chaldeum under a friend's
Queen
care.
Aranea. Yeah, Aranea.
Children should not be punished
is
for
that
their
it?
parents' sins.
Queen Aranea. No. Queen Aranea was the spider in Act 1. Like, yeah. Oh, what was her name? It was the Act 3 boss. The one, like, you defeated her and then you went through, like, one more area and then you reached Azmodan. Yeah, Aranea was the spider from Act 1, I think. Pretty sure. I can't think of her name. I actually liked her, too.
No matter how grave they may be.
Cydia? Was it Cydia? Yeah. That sounds right.
Leah's fate was tied inextricably to Diablo.
Cydia was good.
Part of her creation.
Shh, I eat you now.
With Adria's betrayal revealed, Diablo seized control of the Black Soulstone, using it to channel the essences of all the Lords of Hell into himself. Brimming with power, he twisted Leah's body into a new horrific form, the Prime Evil. With his newfound strength, he set his eyes on a prize.
I don't think that's exactly how he looked. Did they retcon his look? That's probably for the best, because he looked like a fucking meme. They still have flaps here, but they don't look like boobs anymore. Like, he straight up had boob flaps. It was not a good look for him. Honestly, Slender Diablo was a mistake. Diablo, best Diablo is Godzilla Diablo. You know? God, I hope they fix that. Because this just looked... This was terrible. I also don't remember having shoulder mouths. I think they retconned that in. So they've done a little work to him, but God, is he still just underwhelming.
It's far greater than our world. The utter destruction of the high heavens. With his unheralded power, the Lord of Terror breached the diamond gates of the high heavens. He single-handedly routed Inarius, leader of the Angiras Council, with barely a thought. The Prime Evil opened hell rifts inside the Silver City, unleashing the minions of the Burning Hells, leaving him to continue towards the Crystal.
With the shoulder mouths there, I guess I just don't remember them.
As demons ravaged the Silver City, the heroes came to Heaven's aid. They fought their way through hordes of demonkind, aiding the heavens where they could, and soon arrived atop the Silver Spire to battle Diablo himself. Against all odds, the Prime Evil was defeated, his essence trapped in the Black Soulstone. Tyrael returned to the Angiras Council as a mortal, now embodying the aspect of wisdom. And for a moment, it seemed like Sanctuary might see peace. But, as you know well, peace does not last. All was not well with the high heavens.
Just sitting there T-posing, that's my boy. That's his confidence.
Malthael had abandoned the council, the heavens, and his position as the aspect of wisdom. The ravages of the eternal conflict must have taken their toll on Malthael's mind. I often wonder what he saw had convinced him to forsake
asserting dominance, exactly.
For death. Malthael had long desired an end to the eternal conflict, and finally saw his chance with Diablo's defeat. With the 7 great evils gone, he turned his attention to humanity. But Malthael was not interested in winning our hearts and minds. His solution was far simpler, far colder. To Malthael, humanity would never be more than demon spawn.
Smart.
And for the eternal conflict to reach its conclusion, all demonkind needed to be eradicated.
He also probably predicted the internet and general degeneracy and how bad it was going to get. Smart. Honestly, Malthael was a cool villain, but God, was his fight miserable because it was super anti-melee with all those damn puddles and the clouds following you around, and God, trying to melee him was garbage. I hated it. He was pretty easy as a ranged character, though. God, he sucked at melee. It was mostly the puddles that followed you around and stuff.
Had to retrieve the Black Soulstone.
He saw the lawsuits.
What remained of the Haradrim. I likely owe my life to Eldraine. In that first confrontation,
all magic wielders get cool white wings in Diablo. No, the wings. So the reason he looks like the dude who broke the big stone is because they're both archangels. So they have a very similar aesthetic, and those wings are angel wings, basically. So all the angels have them. At least the higher level angels. I don't know about... So I know the Angira Council, the Archangels have them, and theirs tend to be bigger and more magnificent, but even like when you're going through Heaven in D3, most of the mid-level angels did as well, but I believe there's also low-level angels that might not. We didn't really see any of those, though. Yeah. But yeah, those wings are angelic.
Tomb of Raction, I faced death himself. As my brethren fell and died, I was protected behind a magical shield that Tyrael raised using his sword.
Yep.
When we emerged onto the city streets, we were met with horror beyond comprehension. Prize in hand, Malthael and his reapers laid waste to Westmarch. The grisly slaughter I witnessed there nearly destroyed me. They were harvesting the souls of the people. With each death, Malthael grew more powerful. Malthael soon took...
So you actually interact with Lorath as well in Reaper of Souls. When Deckard Cain is in Westmarch Square, he's talking to another Haradrim. Presumably that is Lorath. That is the Haradrim who escaped with him from the tomb. So you actually do interact with Lorath in at least a minor capacity in Diablo 3. Well, I don't think he had a name at that point, though. I don't recall him having a name, but that's Lorath, apparently. And he does have voice lines, although it's a different voice actor.
The Black Soulstone to the Pandemonium Fortress, where he began to manipulate its power.
How do I kill the video
Struggling
and
to
get the loot?
find where he had gone, the adventurers turned to the only person on Sanctuary who might know Malthael's location, the traitor Adria. The witch, however, did not wish to cooperate, and transformed into a terrifying monster empowered by blood magic. Delivering final justice against Adria's betrayal, they struck down the abomination and set out for the Pandemonium Fortress to confront Malthael.
Also kind of a garbage boss fight because of puddles everywhere.
It was too late. Malthael had already sent the
puddles
Black
and
Soulstone
blobs
to Sanctuary, and it was fulfilling its dark purpose, tearing the demonic essence out of every single person. Freeing the spirits of their own kin and leaders, the heroes became one with death, and were finally able to fight against Malthael on even ground. A great battle ensued, and in a last-ditch effort to secure victory, Malthael shattered the Black Soulstone to take on the power of the great evil still trapped inside. The heroes valiantly rallied in defense of Sanctuary, the power of the spirits within allowing them to defeat death itself. The aftermath of Malthael's use of the Black Soulstone saw Tyrael...
I don't remember Malthael doing that with the Black Soulstone. His aesthetic didn't change at all. You'd think his aesthetic would have changed in some capacity with him using. Did he have a phase where he... Maybe he had a phase where he went kind of red and crackly, lightning-y. Trying to remember. He did have that red spell where he spread it out. Okay, that probably did happen. Because he had that one spell where you had to stand like directly behind him to not get murdered by it. As he would bring his wings together and spread like this red Diablo-esque lightning out all around him. Okay, yeah, so that probably happened. They don't expressly state that in the game, though. Because I had no idea he destroyed it. So it's not something they cover. Either that or they do it offhandedly somewhere and I just never noticed.
On from Sanctuary and countless dead. What happened to Diablo remains a mystery that haunts me.
He went to the other side of the sanctuary.
Over futile efforts to bring light back into our world.
So we gotta go beat him up again.
Such as this, where I feel hope struggling to take root once more. But to hope for salvation while doing nothing to attain it brings only ruin. I have learned this many times over. Judge a person by their actions, not their words. Lilith has returned. You sense the daughter of hatred in the growing shadows, as do I. I can no longer fight with steel and blood, but perhaps the knowledge I've shared will...
Try to draw our attention to the book. It's nice and glowy. The book is important. It's a good narrative style to draw attention to where you want attention to be drawn to. I like it.
Young scholar, wherever your path may lead you. I hope for your sake, it leads down a different path than mine.
Diablo went into the next game. True, exactly.